Hey guys, I'm Nashwa. Welcome back to my channel. I will not be in this video, but here's my hand. Hello. And the reason for that is that it's about 11 o'clock at night and I've been cleaning all day, so I just don't feel very clean right now, even though I probably look like the same. Anyway, so this video is going to be the great purge of 2020 and a great unhaul. Our house is getting painted in the next couple of weeks, so we had to sort of like do a deep clean before we get the paint job done. That way we can just keep the stuff that we need and move it in after the painting is done and remove the extra stuff. So I have a lot of books to go through. I will show you the pile. Let's hope I can focus it. So now I have a special kind of respect for people who do these YouTube videos without showing their face, because I have no idea like what you're seeing and what I'm seeing, but I'll try my best. So when I was a teenager, I was really obsessed with the X-Files, the TV show, and about UFOs and aliens and things like that. And I was also weirdly obsessed with true crime and things like that. So I basically have a lot of like books from my teenage years which are like that. And I thought about not giving them the last couple of times I cleaned out my shelves, but now I feel like the time is right. Like I'm never going to read these books, and keeping them is just going to overwhelm me. So anyway, that's what the first three books are: The World's Greatest Alien Encounter, The World's Greatest UFO Sightings, The World's Greatest Mysteries. And I read all of these because I was a weird person and I was obsessed with this stuff: mystery, intrigue, and suspense. Goodbye to You. This is a book that I never read. I got for like 50 rupees at a book, I don't know what you call it, like a mela, which is like I don't know, like a book sale. So My Earth, My Butt, and Other Round Things, never read it. Another book that I'm getting rid of, Invisible City by M.G. Harrison. The only reason that I got this book at an old bookstore was because the cover slides like that. You don't need much to impress me when it comes to books, but another book I never read. I was obsessed with the Tudors. Oh shit, sorry. I was obsessed with the Tudors, The Secret History of Elizabeth Tudor, The Vampire Slayer. I don't know why I have it, but I was just really into Henry VIII and that whole history, so I thought this would be fun to read. Did I ever read it? I can't even remember. Then I'm getting rid of The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini and A Thousand Splendid Suns. The Kite Runner I actually really liked. This one I liked less, but as good as they are, I don't think I need them anymore in my life. John Grisham, The Summons. I'm a huge Grisham fan, at least I was when I was a teenager, and I read a lot of his books, and I've only kept the ones that I really liked. A lot of these are somewhere in this whole unhaul pile. Then The 11th Commandment by Jeffrey Archer. I loved Jeffrey Archer because he was one of the people who was available to us. How to Overcome Stress. I don't think I will learn anything from this book. I got it years ago when I thought I was stressed, but then I don't know why I was stressed, because it wasn't even 2020. Then we have A Dictionary of Familiar Quotations. I don't even know who this book belongs to in my family, so it'll just have to go. Then we have A History of God by Karen Armstrong. I read this years ago, learned a lot about the three major religions, and I don't think I need it anymore. Trust No Auntie. This is like a graphic novel about experiences of sort of like South Asian people in foreign cultures and how aunties treat you. So it's like in a fun graphic novel format, and it was fun when I read it. Don't need it anymore. A book called Mummy's Legs. I tried to read this in the last couple of months, and it was just like, it didn't grab my attention, so I don't need it anymore. This is a book that I'm a little sad giving away, because it's like practically it looks brand new. It's called The Concubine's Secret, and it's interesting, and I don't remember much of the plot, but it's going away. The Murder Room is a mystery that I'm giving away because I was really into mysteries when I was younger. Let me try to move these books out of the frame without being in it, because I don't really feel great right now. Anyway, that was the first pile. That's the second pile. Contemporary poetry. I don't care about it. Then we have To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm going to get slaughtered for this one, aren't I? But I read about 100. My bookmark's still in it. Yeah, I read 98 to 99 pages, 10 chapters, and I just couldn't do it, even though this was a buddy read with a friend of mine, but we just decided to quit because we weren't really interested. Nick Hornby, High Fidelity. I kind of hated this book. It was a 2-star read for me. Another contemporary poetry edition, Goodbye. Then we have a few Jeffrey Archers. He was really huge when I was a teenager, at least to us. Sons of Fortune, The Prodigal Daughter, A Prisoner of Birth, Goodbye books. The Giver, a dystopian book. It was fine, nothing special, Goodbye. Short Stories by Jeffrey Archer, Goodbye. Murder Mystery by Peter James. Dead simple, 4 bodies, 1 suspect, no trace. I don't want you anymore, goodbye. Dolores by Jacqueline Suzanne, goodbye. I read it, it was 2 stars, it was a very weird take on the Kennedys. The Female Brain, a non-fiction book, which was just weird. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This is a book that I'm giving away because I have multiple copies of it. Not because J.K. Rowling is disrespectful and doesn't know how to treat people, that's a whole other issue. And I thought about it, do I want to give my Harry Potter books away? But I feel like I realized that they mean too much to me for me to give all of them away. So I'm going to give out extra copies, and I've vowed never to buy anything by J.K. Rowling again unless she learns how to treat people. Then we have The Flyboys. I don't even know what this is, I'm sorry. The Collected Stories of Catherine Mansfield. This is part of my A-levels English literature, and I'm keeping my A-levels English lit books except for this one because I just wasn't impressed with them. The Lord of the Rings. This is a compendium of all 3 books, and I'm giving it away because I haven't read any of them, and I feel like I'm never going to read it, especially in this edition. This is really thick. It has a really small font. It's all 3 books in one, and it's already like coming apart. So I bought it really long ago for 200 rupees. Wow, books were very cheap back in the day. That is like less than $2. So goodbye. I was obsessed with Supernatural. This one actually belongs to my brother, but I don't think like he's going to ever want it back. Witch's Canyon, like a Supernatural book. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This is like the first copy that we had, and it's all torn up, but you know, goodbye. The Great Gatsby. Do I want to give this away? I feel like I have another edition of it somewhere around the house, but yeah, I think I'll give it away. I'll keep it in the donate pile. And yeah, I wasn't a fan of it, but I do have another edition, which is why I'm going to give this particular one away. Cosmopolis by Don DeLillo. This is a book that my friend gave me. I read it very recently. It was great. It was fine. Nothing too special for me to hold on to it. Giving by Bill Clinton. I don't want to read anything written by a creepy old man. I mean, I don't know what your political views are, but I think Bill Clinton is a little creepy. And I don't want to read a book by him. I think that's just it. Then a couple of murder mysteries that I don't want anymore. Monday the Rabbi Took Off. It was okay, it was fine. These are 2 that I haven't read, but I don't think I'll ever read them. I got them very cheap at like a book sale. God Save the Mark by Donald E. Westlake, and then Please Do Feed the Cat. And I only got it because it had a cat on the cover. Am I a cat lady in the making? Of course I am. Then we have a book called Taliban Shuffle, Strange Days in Afghanistan and Pakistan by Kim Barker. I DNF'd this book at around 100 pages because it's written by a white lady who is making it seem weird to be in Afghanistan and Pakistan. I hated her account of it. It was inauthentic and I just didn't want to continue reading it. Okay, then we have The Street Lawyer by John Grisham. Read it in 9th grade and I gave it to 2 of my friends, and it's so old that the pages are turning blue. Goodbye. A Long Way Down, Nick Hornby. Read it last year, gave it around 3.5 stars. It was nothing special, it was okay. Fahrenheit 9/11. Michael Moore was really big back in the day, around the time of when the 9/11 war of terror happened. He wrote a couple of books, and I think I have both of them. And goodbye. These are contemporary books by someone called Dorothy Coomson. I actually have both of them, and I read both of them. And the thing with contemporaries is that I bought a lot of them because they were easily available, and most of them are very, very dated. About a Boy by Nick Hornby. I haven't read this one, but I don't think I'll read it in this format. If I have to get it, I'll get an audiobook or an e-book. I just don't want it anymore. John Grisham, The Runaway Jury. Goodbye. Stupid White Man. This is the one that I was talking about, by Michael Moore. Goodbye. More contemporaries that I will never read. Then we have, oh my god, Game of Thrones, A Dance with Dragons. Do I want to keep this book? I realized I don't want to keep this book because I don't have the rest of the set, and it doesn't make sense for me to hold on to one particular book in the series. And I remember one of my friends gave me this because she was giving hers away, and she's like, do you want it? And I said yes, but I don't want it anymore. John Grisham, The King of Torts, something called Global Tales, can't remember where or why I bought it. An Abundance of Catherines. I really like this book by John Green, but I feel like I've outgrown my young adult phase. Another contemporary. This was really funny. I remember really liking it, but that's the thing with contemporaries, like I know I'm not going to reread it. Moving on to another pile. Why Do People Hate America? Required reading. I feel like I got it for some course in university. I mean, I don't want it anymore. When God Was a Rabbit. This is a young adult contemporary kind of a book. It was very interesting, but like I'm not going to reread it again. An Almond for a Parrot. This was a book that I bought a couple of years ago because of the cover, because look at that cover. It's incredibly stunning. And I didn't realize that this 17th century book was an erotica of sorts. Like the language was very, very brash, let's say. And I took it on a flight with me, and I started to read it on the flight, and then I realized that, oh, I don't want to read this anymore because it's just weird. So I kept it on the empty seat next to me, because the seat next to me was empty. And there was a gentleman who was sitting like next to that seat. And when I put it on the empty seat, he's like, oh, can I take a look at your book? And I was very embarrassed, but I couldn't say no. I don't know what he made of it, but I believe like he started reading it and probably enjoyed it more than I ever did. Jeffrey Archer, to cut a long story short, do not remember anything about it. When I was younger, the series called Conversations with God was really, really popular and everyone was reading it. So I got all 3 books. This is book 1 right here. I got all 3 books and I tried to read them. I read the first 2, gave up by book 3. Tried to reread the first book in 2017, I believe, and realized that this was not what I wanted it to be. Then we have another Jeffrey Archer book. This one I might actually keep because I like the old school look of it, so this one's staying. Another Nick Hornby. This one's called Juliet Naked. Read it years ago. It was okay. Don't remember much about it. Then we have Paulo Coelho, because he was another big author in my teenage years. The Fifth Mountain, The Alchemist, The Devil and Miss Prime. Read all of them. Thought all of them were such a big deal back in the day, but I don't think if I'd ever reread them. A children's book called The Viking. Can't remember how I came into the possession. Again, I was obsessed with the Tudors, so I thought I'd like eat this book up, but then I realized it's like a Tudor history for kids. Do I want it? No. This is another book. It's called Sometimes You See It Coming. It's about baseball. Do I know how to play baseball? No. Do I have any interest in learning how to play baseball? Also no. Does Pakistan have a baseball team? Also no. I don't know how or where that happened, but it's going. Another Paulo Coelho book, Veronica Decides to Die. This is the one that I liked the most because it was the most interesting, but I've never reread it since the time I first read it, and I believe that was like in early 2000, like when it came out. 2000, yeah, it came out in 2000 and I read it like around that time, so 20 years ago. A literary fiction called Winter in Madrid. I will never read this book. I've just realized that. For One More Day by Mitch Albom. I really like Mitch Albom. I'm keeping 2 of his books, which are The 5 People You Meet in Heaven and Tuesdays with Maury, because I really like those 2. This one was alright. It was nothing special. It was okay. Dan Brown, I'm getting rid of. I've read Angels and Demons. I never got to the Da Vinci Code and I never will. And if I ever have a desire to pick it up, ebook is the way to go. The Undercover Economist, I got it in university or for one of my jobs. I can't remember. One of my jobs early on. And I read it. It went over my head and I don't want it anymore. Dark Dude is a young adult book, and it's diverse in the sense that I think it's written by like a Latin American author. Recently I tried to reread it and it felt very middle grade and YA, like it read very young, and I just wasn't a fan of it, even though I've heard like amazing things about it. So I think it'll find a reader who's more interested than I am. Then I'm getting rid of this book. It's called Nicholas Dane by Melvin Burgess. I'm keeping another book by this author. It's called Junk, but this one I'm not particularly interested in. So here's another pile. This is The Well of Ascension, the second book in the Mistborn series. I love the Mistborn series, but why am I giving this away? Because I don't have book 1 and 3. I really liked book 1, The Final Empire, and that's the one that I reread, and I have no particular desire to read book 2. So I don't know like how I came into the possession of this, but I feel like someone who has book 1 probably would find it more useful than I do. This one is a book called Hell. It was funny, it was fine, it was alright, nothing special. Another murder mystery. This one kind of freaked me out because oh my god, the first scene, like this guy's watching a video and he doesn't really realize that it's actually a video of a person being murdered. This is a book called Vengeance is All Mine, All Others Pay Cash, and this is an Indonesian book where a man witnesses a woman being raped and after that he loses his fertility. And as interesting as the concept is, the story wasn't really like, it wasn't executed well, and another thing is that it read like a translated book. It wasn't very flowy, so goodbye. Then we have a bunch of contemporaries which are very dated. Like I tried to read this one, Single White Email, and this one, Lessons, a pile just fell over, Lessons of a Sunday Father, and they read very, very early 2000s, like just about when the internet started to become a big thing. And this one I was getting really angry at because the protagonist was complaining a lot, and I don't like people who whine that much, especially in my books. I feel like I'm one of them in real life. Imagine meeting a me in a book. Never Let It Go. It was dark, it was weird, but it's like I don't want you anymore. The Help is one that I've never read, and I probably never will. I feel like I'm just not interested in it, but I got it at a sale, so that explains that. Another dated contemporary, Kafka on the Shore. I'm not a Murakami fan, and I hated this book because there's animal cruelty in it, and that is something that I cannot stand. So goodbye. When I was younger, Anita Shreve was a really big author that I was really into. I'm keeping a few of her books. I'm keeping Testimony and I'm keeping Light on Snow, but these are the ones that were just about okay, so I don't want them anymore. I'm also keeping The Pilot's Wife. So Eden Close, goodbye. Body Surfing, goodbye. And another reason I'm giving away this particular book is because I hate the font, like it's tiny. The Weight of Water, goodbye. Cartography by Kamila Shamsi. I mean, it used to be one of my absolute favorite books, but then I don't want it anymore. It's just not interesting. So we only have about 2 piles left, and hello, you can see me, but that wasn't very nice. I'm sorry. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I don't know why I bought it, but like, goodbye. Okay, this book I actually read back in the day. Look Who's Back, and it's basically about like a Hitler, like Hitler comes back, but he doesn't know what he's done, or it's like in a comical setting. I can't remember what it was, and at the time I read it, I thought it was very entertaining and very amusing. Now I realize that I don't want to give any leeway or like any leverage to people who are horrible, who have been like reincarnated in literature and made being funny, because like what he did was not a joke. So why is literature about him like a joke, and why did I consume it? Well, I was young and stupid, but now I just think that people who've done like really evil things, they should not pop up in my reading, at least. Like I'm just not down for it. Human Rights and You. It's a human rights book, probably from the time when I was studying for my IR courses. Goodbye. Then we have 3 Mills and Boon books. My friend, one of my friends, oh my god, she was obsessed with Mills and Boons. She had like hundreds of them, except hers were the old school ones. And I picked these up at a book sale because I was curious about them, and I thought, oh, this would be a fun time. So firstly, they're not nearly as explicit as I thought they would be. They're just like wholesome, cutesy, weird, half-assed romance books. And if you're a romance fan, I'm not taking a dig at you. It's just that I wasn't a fan of these books. So Medical Romance, The Patient Man, Constantine's Defiant Mistress, and something called The Playboy in Pursuit. Goodbye books. Another contemporary that I don't want. 2 Stephen King's book that I don't want, The Dark Half. And this one, I don't even know who'd take it because it's like all torn up from both sides, is thinner. Then we have Pact of the Wolves. This is like a paranormal romance. It's the furthest thing from my reading. Yeah, so that was not what I expected, but it was fine. It came out around the time when like Twilight came out. This is a book called Tree Houses. It's actually a play. And after I bought it, I realized that I don't do plays. But I feel like I bought this when I was in 6th or 7th grade, so about a century ago. Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. I'm not going to read this copy because first, it's water damaged. And that's not why. Like, I like old books, but I feel like I'm just not going to read it. And if I have to, I'll read it on ebook. And yeah, I don't want it anymore. This is a book of short stories that I read when I was very young. How to Be Good by Nick Hornby. Another Nick Hornby that I'm just not interested in. I've actually never read this book, and it's practically brand new, and I've heard like this author is kind of a big deal. Do I want to keep this? Yeah, no, I don't want it anymore. I feel like if I haven't read it since like 2015, I'm probably not going to read it again. More Margaret Atwood books that I don't want anymore. I have The Robber Bride. This was creepy and weird. I liked it, not enough to keep it. Lady Oracle, never actually got to it, never will probably read it. I have a thing for cats. This was a cozy mystery. Did I read it? No. This was a book that I read when I was young. It was like a wartime story. Can't remember anything about it other than the fact that it kind of made me sad. And now we're on to our last file, and I'll try to move it here without knocking it down. Catch as Catch Can. This is a book by Joseph Heller that my friend was giving away. So I took it from her, but I never read it. These are murder mysteries that I really liked when I was much younger. PJ Tracy, they're a duo of mom and daughter, and they used to write like these really gruesome mysteries, which is what I was all about. More gruesome mysteries. that I don't want anymore. A contemporary. The only reason that I bought this book was because it's 2 in 1. So we have this and we have this, and this one starts normal, but when you flip it around, it opens like this, and this is a whole new book. And I thought that was fascinating. It doesn't take much to impress me, clearly. More contemporary books, which I liked at the time. Now I think they'd be very dated. Catch 22. This is a book that I was supposed to read for my book club in 2013. Never read it. Then I gave it to my friend in 2014, and she kept it for 5 years. She gave it back to me last year in the hopes that like I probably really wanted, and I still haven't read it. That says a lot. Another contemporary I read years ago. It was cute, it was fine, it was okay. A murder mystery I don't want anymore. I'm getting really tired, you can tell. Conversations with God, part 3. No. Another contemporary book about, I think a woman runs away from her wedding. I don't want it. And then A.J. Fikri, The Collected Works. These, I think this is a collection of short stories, and it wasn't bad. So I'll keep it in the donate pile. So now I'll show you my donate pile. The Collected Works of A.J. Fikri. I think it's better to leave it in here. I'm also going to put The Great Gatsby in the donate pile because it's practically brand new. Then I have this book, the one that I just showed you. I didn't want to unhaul it, so I'll keep it in the donate pile. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. It was a really fun story. Like it was a cutesy, like a serious, heartwarming story about a boy whose dog gets killed. And I feel like he's autistic, or he has some sort of thing going on, but I can't remember what it was. I really enjoyed reading this, and I feel like someone else would definitely benefit from it more. Then we have 2 non-fiction books. These are basically graphic guides to serious things. This one's about psychotherapy, this one's about logic. I enjoyed them, but goodbye. These are books that I bought thanks to the BookTube pressure. I initially joined BookTube, and these books were all the rage. This is 6 of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and I was very happy that I was able to find them here, and I thought it was a big deal. And I never ended up reading them because I realized from watching people's videos that you were supposed to read the Grisha trilogy or whatever it's called before this. And the thing with this is that I don't have the patience to read 3 other books to start reading these books, so I'm going to give them away to my library with the hopes that they'll accept it so some other kids can find it. This is the book that I DNF'd this year. It's How to Be a Woman by Caitlin Moran, and I DNF'd it because it seemed to me like white feminism. I couldn't relate to any of it. She made a joke about a girl who had napalm thrown on her during the Vietnam War, and she related that to some weird humor which I was not okay with, so goodbye. Everything is Effed by Mark Manson. I hate this book. I read it last year, I just couldn't deal with it. I bought it for 1100 rupees, which is like a decent amount of money to pay for a book. And I'm gonna try giving it to my library to see if they want it, but like usually they don't take explicit titles. So, and then we have 2 literary fiction books by Sue Miller. Really enjoyed them when I was younger. I don't really care for them now. So that's it. We don't have much of a resale market in Pakistan when it comes to books, because like old bookstores kind of don't exist anymore, and if they do, they don't really deal with books like this anymore. They like to keep new books, and I've always had an issue with them calling themselves old bookstores. A lot of them shut down in the last like 10 or 15 years, so there's not where you can take them. My library, it's not a very big library. I only have access to it because my parents are members, and it's like a little library inside a big building. They have like stuff, and I've donated a lot of them, a lot of books to them in the past couple of years. The thing with them is that they only take books that are like 2 years old. Anything that was published after 2017 and now maybe even 2018, because I tried last year, they won't accept. So what happens is that these books will go to the Raddiwala. I don't know how to say Raddiwala in English. It's a man who wow, watch me try to explain this. It's a man who makes rounds in our neighborhood and every neighborhood in the country, and he basically collects material to recycle so he can sell them further. So this gentleman who recycles stuff, bottles, plastics, books, he will buy these books and measure them by the kilos. So he will weigh them and give me a certain price for 1 kilo of books. I'll go through them once again to see if there's anything salvageable for like a donation. Otherwise, the rest of them are basically going to go to the man who will measure them by the kilo. I think it's going to be a very, very small amount of money, so you know, it's probably not even worth it, but I'm done keeping things that I don't want anymore. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching this. it's really late, so I couldn't like figure out the angles and everything, but I just wanted to quickly make this video before I go to bed and begin cleaning again tomorrow morning. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye guys.